Hey y'all, it's your friendly neighborhood therapist, and it is May 2nd, so day 2 of Mental Health Awareness Month. Now, I missed yesterday because I was at a track meet until 9 p.m. Well worth it though, because my baby girl made it to sectionals. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get into a quick mental health lesson for the day. So, defense mechanisms, have y'all heard of these? People say it often, but I don't know if everybody always knows that there are multiple types of defense mechanisms, and we all use one or more of the types at any given time. However, you would never admit to using it. You would never admit that you are actually using a defense mechanism, even though other people around you can see it and point it out. If you want to know why, let's get into it. All right, so defense mechanisms are unconscious psychological strategies that are used as a form of protection for us. They protect us from things like anxiety, uncomfortable feelings, discomfort, or internal conflict caused by external stressors. Now, one of the ways I nowadays often see defense mechanisms show up is right here on social media comment sections. You can often tell when someone is getting defensive and using a defense mechanism, but they can't. And that is because all defense mechanisms are unconscious. You are not aware. So you will always deny it because you are not aware. That includes me. All right. So when other people that I trust point it out, I believe it at this point because I can't tell. So if they're pointing it out, that means they see it and I don't. So there are several types, and I want to go over some of the most common types of defense mechanisms with y'all. So the first one, denial. Now you would think, well, I can tell when I'm denying something. No, you can't. No, you can't. The refusal to acknowledge or believe something that causes anxiety or discomfort is not something that you can tell off the bat, but that is what denial is. We have different states of denial for different reasons. One of the biggest ones that usually comes up is during grief. If someone passes away, the first state of grief is actually denial. We do not want, we know logically that person is gone. We do not want to admit it to ourselves, so we are in denial. Here's a easier one. You're in a relationship. You in the relationship, but the other person might not be. You got a little bit of denial going on. You can't see it, but other people can. Projection, this is a big one. That is attributing your own unacceptable feelings or thoughts to someone else. This is the one we see on social media a lot. Y'all get in these comment sections and you just start projecting all over the place. Other people can see it. You will adamantly deny that you are doing that. But that's something that you dealing with and you putting it off on other people. Repression. This is unconsciously pushing painful or unacceptable thoughts, feelings, or memories out of your awareness. So we repress certain things when you can't readily remember, especially something traumatic or something that was a big deal. You can't readily remember it. You have likely repressed it. Regression. This is returning to an earlier stage of development or behavior in response to stress. This often is seen in children. Children will regress. For example, you have a toddler, 3 year old, and then you have another baby. Your toddler may very well regress. They don't realize they're doing that, but of course you do. Rationalization. That is explaining behavior or thoughts in a way that makes them seem logical or justified, even if they are not. Now, this is one I can pick up on with myself now. I know when I'm rationalizing something. I know when something is crazy and I'm just making it make sense. But a lot of people don't pick up on that. Sublimation. That is channeling unacceptable impulses into socially acceptable or constructive behaviors. Now, that's actually a good one. This is a good one. Most defense mechanisms, if they are overused, are detrimental. Sublimation, this is typically good no matter what. For example, the unacceptable impulse to punch somebody in the face. I feel it often with y'all here on social media in my comment sections. But guess what? If I go to a rage room or even to a gym and hit the punching bag, that is sublimation and that is more acceptable. Displacement, that is redirecting negative emotions such as anger towards a less threatening target. This can be bad because let's say you are at work and you get angry at your boss justifiably for a valid reason, but you go home and you take it out on your child. That child is a less threatening target. They are not the ones who did it, but that's who you take it out on because it's easier. Reaction formation. This is acting in a way that is opposite of your true feelings or impulses. Okay, this one is a little bit difficult because oftentimes we don't even realize what our true feelings or impulses are. So, intellectualization. This is focusing on the intellectual aspects of a situation to avoid emotional involvement. Example, someone does pass away. You say, well, everybody dies, it's a part of life. That's literally intellectualization. We know everybody dies, but how are you feeling? How are you actually feeling? Where are the emotions? Because they're there, but you are trying to intellectualize them by thinking about death in the very intellectual biological state. Disassociation. That is experiencing disconnection between thoughts, feelings, and actions. You are separating yourself out from what you are actually dealing with. Suppression. This is more conscious. Now, most of the defense mechanisms are unconscious, but when we suppress, that is a conscious thing. We consciously and intentionally push away unwanted thoughts or feelings. I'm not going to worry about this. I don't care how it's making me feel. I don't care what's going on. I'm not dealing with it. That's more conscious. Avoidance. Avoiding situations or thoughts that cause anxiety or discomfort. Undoing. Engaging in behaviors that are meant to reverse or cancel out unacceptable thoughts or actions. Identification, adopting the characteristics or behaviors of someone else to feel more secure or powerful. And then fantasy, engaging in daydreams or escapist thoughts to avoid painful reality. So, those are just a few of the defense mechanisms that we often use to protect ourselves from anxiety, uncomfortable feelings, or discomfort, internal conflict caused by external stressors. Okay? Now, here's what the key concepts you need to understand about defense mechanisms is one, that they are unconscious, except for the one that I said you consciously do, which is suppression. All the others are typically unconscious, meaning they are used without your awareness. The primary function of defense mechanisms is to reduce anxiety, maintain self esteem, and protect your ego. We can talk about the id, ego, and superego in another post this month. There's adaptation involved. While they can be adaptive in the short term, overuse or reliance on unhealthy mechanisms can lead to problems. For example, if you are constantly in denial, you are never facing anything, oh, it's going to come back one way or another. If you are constantly projecting, people going to walk away from you after a while. Nobody wants to deal with that. And then just to give you a little bit of background, psychoanalytic theory. The concept of defense mechanisms originated from psychoanalytic theory, particularly the works of Sigmund Freud and his daughter Anna Freud. Now, it's a lot of controversy around Sigmund Freud, but hey, broke clocks are even right twice a day. He had the defense mechanisms right, okay? So, there you have it. Defense mechanisms, a brief introduction to those. Which ones do you see in others? Which ones have you been called out on that you cannot see because they are primarily unconscious? All right, y'all. Have a beautiful, wonderful rest of y'all day, and I will holler at y'all later.